I am here today with Ronnie Le Tekro. Ronnie is a founding member of the legendary Norwegian classic metal band TNT. As a member of TNT, he has been inducted into the Rockheim Hall of Fame in Norway and has been called one of the world's 25 best guitarists by Guitar Player magazine, and that's no small feat. Ronnie has also released more than 15 solo records and collaborations. His latest solo effort is called Bigfoot TV, and we'll talk about that title, and it will be released on March 18th on TBC Records. Ronnie, it is an absolute honor to have you here. Thanks so much.
It's nice to be here.
Yeah. Let's start at the beginning. Before we get into the record, I listened to your playing. You're an amazing player. You sound so accomplished, and it's just, a lot of metal players play with a lot of feedback, and there's a grinding to it. You have a signature sound that is different than that. It's really sharp, really clean. It sounds classically influenced to me. When did you start playing? And I picture you at 5 years old playing guitar, classically trained. Was that the case for you?
You're not far from the truth. I started playing guitar at the age of 9. But unlike you grew up with the American radio, so you had all these good influences that you could listen to, but Norwegian radio was almost communist,
Right.
They would play Yesterday with the Beatles maybe once a month.
Right.
So, but we got these records, and I got these records at the age of maybe 9, 10, and I put them on, and I remember when I was 12, I got Frank Marino, Dragonfly. And to me, Canadian guitar player Frank Marino, one of my mentors, I would say.
Beautiful.
He was on fire, and that of course inspired me a lot. So when I was 12, I rehearsed to Frank Marino stuff from age of 12 until I was 15. Then I got into, of course, we had to go through Johann Sebastian Bach,
Yes.
The classical stuff, and learn it. And Yngve Malmsteen, he was one of those kids in Scandinavia that had to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And I was another one, and I think John Norum, in the Guitar Player of Europe, also had to go through all that stuff. So,
yeah.
So we come a lot from Bach, all of us, but classical music.
Yep.
Then again, it was the fascination, especially for British rock, because we're a neighboring country, so
Sure.
Anything from the Beatles to, right?
Yeah.
It's a 1 hour flight from here, and I'm in London, so.
Right.
So it's a real close connection with British rock, from anything to the 70s stuff. Wasn't it pretty much a dominance from the 60s with the Beatles into the Stones, into, you had Jimi Hendrix, but
Mm-hmm.
He got big in Europe first. He had to go to England to become big,
Right, exactly.
And then it kind of just continued. So European rock had a strong dominance into hard rock, Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple.
Mm-hmm.
Then into the prog rock with the Genesis, the Yes, and it was all British, right? And what happened? Then it was fucking punk, right?
Right.
And it didn't stop. Then it was a new wave of British heavy metal with the Iron Maidens and the TNTs and the Europes and all those bands. We came from the same vibe.
Yep.
Until, and I think at one point the American bands got inspired the other way from what was happening in Europe. It wasn't always that we were inspired by America. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Definitely. I would say the Americans were very inspired by that British sound.
I think a lot of them, the best ones anyway, I'm not going to mention their names, but then again, my biggest heroes are American. Joe Walsh, that's my number one.
Really?
his songwriting, the personality, and that's it. I got so many American guitar players I'm really fond of. So I'm gonna weigh my words really carefully.
Yes, yes, there you go. I understand. I love hearing that you were inspired by Frank Marino. Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush. That live
Oh,
album was just,
oh, Jesus Christ!
oh, that was
Oh,
just, that just blew me away when I heard it. And
yeah.
I had a chance to talk with Frank, and we sat down, and he
Did
played
you?
some things
Wow.
for me. Yeah, it was great, and I had a chance to see him live, of course. It just what an inspiration that guy is. He's an amazing player.
Could you send him a message that I would love to get in contact with him?
Okay, yeah, I have not spoken with him in quite some time, but I will try to do
Yeah,
that.
but
Yeah,
you got to but hey man, you're a professional. I don't have those
yeah,
connections, right?
yeah. I would
Uh,
absolutely.
uh,
I will try to do that for you for sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, Jesus Christ, he was good, and
yeah.
he's good, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, just a blistering guitar player, just attacked the instrument and
Yeah,
just blew me away. Yeah.
yeah. Me too.
Yeah, and that's great to hear. We have Bigfoot TV now.
Yeah.
Where does the name of the album come from? There's not a song called Bigfoot TV. It's a really
No,
interesting name. Yeah, get into that title.
it's very simple. You if you look at the cover, you see this ape looking at the television, and you've seen that on Roger Waters' "I'm Used to Death." The topic is used before, and that's very conscious too when I do that stuff. But the thing is, Bigfoot TV is about think about all the useless television shit you've been watching. Probably like me. The treasure on Oak Island, hunting Hitler, looking for Bigfoot. It's almost the TV series where you're never gonna get the answer.
Yeah.
And so was my life. Do you know what? I can't say that I have an answer, and that I'm like it was complete or fantastic or anything, right?
Yeah.
So it's a metaphor for and all the lyrics. This is shit that happened to me, right? And it's personal instead of.
Yeah, and that's it's got to be great for a solo record for you to in the writing of it, for you to be so personally attached to all of these songs.
I'm personally attached. I'm hitting 60 in 13, 14 months. I'm really aware about my inspirations, and I just want to carry that psychedelic stuff that Joe Walsh, Frank Marino, Steve Healich, and my different mentors do.
Yeah. And it does have that feel to it. Songs like, Moving Like a Cat and things like that are just really just a kind of a psychedelic kind of feel to it. And I notice you have a song on the record, leads off the record, I believe, Life on Long Island. It refers to a part of your life when you first came over here. Is that correct?
It's correct. And let me tell you, the first time I came to America, I know I've been saying this in a couple of interviews before, but it just had a different scent. The smell of when you go to Europe, you can smell that the actual soil, the earth has a different smell. But I fell in love with it immediately.
Yeah.
So the first guy that met me was the DJ Fingers, pretty incredible DJ that worked for WBAB radio station based on Long Island. I think it's still there.
Yeah.
So he was the first guy I met on American soil. And little did I know that, and I moved in with my American friend, American middle class, with Bob Eichen and his mother Mary, and I lived there from 85 till 92. I had 7 years. So
Right.
So I really got to understand the middle, if I dare say so, middle class America.
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered that people were exactly like us, with the same dreams, the same values in many ways. And yeah. In that respect, long live Europe defending the democratic values against Russia.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And, you know, I wanted to ask you about that too. You're very, very close to what's going on right now. You're safe. Everything is fine where you are.
It is. I'm like, I would say, a 3-hour flight from Ukraine.
Yeah. Oh, that's close enough.
And the Russian border, we have a common border with Russia, but that's like if you fly, it's 2 hours away, right? So, but they've never been a threat for Norway. We've been good neighbors, you know. They never invaded. They've been, but the Russian people, they don't believe in that fucker. You know, he's going to lose everything.
Yeah. It's just it's horrific.
So,
it is.
It's horrific. I have friends that went down there to fight, you know, so.
Yeah. Good for them. And we thank them. And it is not an easy situation that's going on.
This is about defending democracy. If we don't do that, guys, and look at your own country, how close you were to getting a fucking Putin occupying your... So you gotta look after America. You can't let guys like that get in power, because then you see what happens, right? Yeah. I'm not going to mention any names, but we all know.
Yeah.
It's a five-letter thing.
It's a dangerous situation to have that kind of dictatorship type role in power.
Well, Norway, we're closely in alliance with through NATO with America, and we defend the free Western values, and that's more important than rock and roll tonight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I could talk about rock and roll, but I would just like to say, long live the US and Europe and the democratic values.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. We are all thinking.
That's where we're at now.
That is.
Imagine this, because I'm in the free world now, and there's 2 million refugees coming in now this next week.
Wow.
And 1 million of those refugees, they're children scared to death. They're traumatized.
Yeah.
Mothers, you know.
It's frightening. And we pray for a hope for them, and that situation will get better for sure.
Just got to give them guns.
There you go.
No ride outside Ukraine, just guns.
I happen to see a video for the record for Moving Like a Cat, which I mentioned earlier. Tell me, I've seen a lot of videos being made for albums. I haven't really seen one quite like that. Tell me about that, how that came about, the video.
Well, like a cat. I invited the fans to send videos and pictures of their cats. Just, did the representation of. But then again, moving like a cat is metaphoric to this is the woman in your house.
Right. And I love it. It's great. And everybody contributed, and there's some great shots there of cats, and I say, the song is just really cool.
Thank you, brother.
It moves like a cat. So it's pretty cool. Check it out. There'll be a link at the bottom here too, so people can see that. Your writing process, I hear Moving Like a Cat, and of course it's not like TNT. What is the writing process for the solo albums like this, and has it changed for you over the years?
Well, I'm more conscious about opening new doors each time I write a song. So if I write a song, I don't want to write 2 songs in a row. That's, do you know?
Right.
That's pretty much my principle, and try to portray some color at my age, and kind of show everything I've listened to through my record collection and those. And I can see your record collection in the background, right? And all that music, those some notes here and there. So I'm just like a hybrid of all my influences, right? The thing I think I have a true original tone, but I don't think I'm like a completely 100% original composer or anything, but I have a different tone, and a different approach to life than most guitar players.
Your tone is way different. I can always tell when Ronnie's playing. You know,
Thank you.
There is a really, like I said in the beginning, a very, very sharp tone that is all you. And you have something you developed, the Quarterstepper guitar, and I wanted to talk to you about that. Explain a little bit of what that is, and if we hear it on the record at all.
Well, you're not going to hear that on this record, but it was an invention, because you got microtonality, which are quarter steps, and that's between. You got to be a musician to understand it, but you got a full step, then you got a half step, but there's a note in between there. They use it in India, they use it in different scales, but I just wanted to place the intervals exactly. So I made twice as many frets on the guitar, and I made a color code. The black frets were the regular, thing, and the white frets are the quarter notes. Wow. So an American guitar player builder called Bernie Hamburg, fantastic guy. He made a prototype for the Quarterstepper, and then I had the ESP in Japan make another prototype. Okay. I think it's such a difficult instrument, so I think being the inventor for this instrument with Bernie Hamburg, I think it's going to be someone in the future that's going to maybe. My time is too short. I did some solos. I did Wisdom with TNT. There, on that solo, you can hear the Quarterstepper.
Yeah.
I think that's the only recording where I actively use it. Like,
okay, that's just great. And it reminds me when you say that, and you mentioned in India, like the sitar. There's so many frets. If you look at a sitar, it just looks like an extreme amount of frets. So it's in that kind of thought process. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. Wow. And that's really something. And again, like Hendrix, just reinventing the instrument. It's a wonderful thing that you did there. It's great.
I call it creative destruction. Do you know what creative destruction is?
Creative destruction.
No. Before Hendrix, it was the Beatles, and everybody was bam, bam, bam. They were playing right. Right. Suddenly there was the guy that's a total breakdown of the music. Brown, feedback sound.
Yeah.
Creative destruction. So sometimes you can take music, and I try to do that a lot of times. To creative destruction, I break down the elements into almost psychedelic, disharmonic structures. And then again, Jimi Hendrix, another of my gods. Do you know Frank Marino, Jimi Hendrix? I come from those guys.
Yeah, and that's,
I'll never be as good as them, but I can. But I come from Brian May too, right?
Yeah. So. Oh yeah. So many players. And like I say, I hear those things in your playing, but I do. I could tell right away. I heard that Bach. I heard Bach when I hear you. That is
Thank you.
it's so
Big inspiration.
yeah, that's great. Now you have the Holocaster guitar. You're kind of known to play that a lot, especially live, right?
The Holocauster was made in Germany in 1944.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You have Brian Robertson, one of my favorite.
Brian Robertson signed my Brian Robertson is a sweetheart. So I toured. I had a Thin Lizzy cover band in early 2005 or something. And Brian joined for a tour. We did 30 shows, I think, together.
Yeah.
So I think about it. Then he showed me, but you're playing it's wrong, he said to me. Lizzy is like this. And then he showed me, do you know?
He's my favorite
from the master, right?
Yes. One of my favorite records of all time, my favorite live record of all time. Thin Lizzy's Live and Dangerous. I've never heard twin guitar playing like that. I've never heard anything like that. I first heard Wishbone, of course, and that was kind of the beginning of that for me. But Thin Lizzy just took that to another level with Brian Robertson and Scott Gorham. But yeah, just I don't know.
And Thin Lizzy, and Thin Lizzy is it's probably, I would say today, bigger than Zeppelin in Europe.
Yeah, really. Wow.
Yeah, that's how big Phil, good old Phil. He is such an incredible legend, like Bob Marley size, right over here.
Yeah,
he's the god.
That's great. That's great to hear for sure. Now I understand you mentioned that you don't think like other guitar players. You come from a different place. I understand that you have a master's degree in Wicca Witchcraft. You've been Wiccan a lot of your life. Does that knowledge and practice of Wiccan influence your music? I would imagine it does. Like these songs on Bigfoot TV are very personal. Does that come through?
All of them are Wiccan songs.
Okay. Yeah.
The whole Bigfoot album is a Wiccan soundtrack.
Great. That's great. Yeah. Now you have a studio there that you've got bands coming in all the time. A lot of them black metal bands. And when Norway does black metal, it's it's the real deal. Our black metal here in America is a little more of,
but we burn churches over here.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, you've had Mayhem, which is, probably the most famous of the black metal bands with, some stories of suicide and murder and everything else. Does that ever conflict with your Wiccan beliefs to have, any black metal that is that ingrained?
Not at all. If you look at Mayhem, the bass player there is probably the most intellectual person I've ever and warmest person I've ever met. So as a Wiccan, I don't but I think, I don't know, I've never asked them, but for me, as a Wiccan, Christians and Muslims and Satanists, they have the same enemy, and it's called Satan. So it's a synergy. They feed off each other. And being a Wiccan, I don't believe in that shit. I believe in Pan. I believe in the gods in nature. It's in a leaf outside your house. It's just in front of your eyes. That's what I believe in.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I'm glad to see that, there's not a conflict there with with people who believe otherwise.
There is not a conflict, but if you look at the enemy, Satan, and you look at Satanists, Christians, and Muslims, they have a common enemy. Come on. This is an old Jewish fairy tale that comes from the Old Testament. Give me a fucking break.
Right.
It's not real. It's not real.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Yeah.
Get over it. Go on.
Yeah, it's great. Like I say, it's great that you have that understanding for sure. We're coming up 40 years of TNT this year. That is a long time, my friend. Great music for so long. I've heard you are in talks with Tony Harnell, of course.
Yeah,
what
I love it.
Yeah, that's great to hear. What would you like to do for 40 years of TNT? Do you want to do a tour? Do you want to do a new record?
I would love. We've been playing, I have to say, the last 10 years, maybe, or 12 years, 700 shows in Europe, 800 shows in Europe, right? And we've been to Japan, but I would love to come back to America to finish off the end of the line, the tour and show. That TNT was about Queen, and we were elegant, and we did something else. If you look at the lyrics Tony wrote and we wrote together, it was always positive topics. Listen to your heart. Everyone's a star. Intuition. 10,000 lovers in one, right?
Yeah.
It was negative. Yeah, and everybody else were singing about, where's your pussy, cherry pie, do you know what, come on.
Yeah.
So we did something else, and we were influenced by a lot of Canadian rock too. Dull Bellow, Rush, that whole movement, Triumph.
Yes. It's just brilliant.
So we love it. So TNT is not a Norwegian band. TNT was a Norwegian band with an American singer. And Foreigner was a British band with an American singer.
Yep.
And I can mention many, and that always works. European bands with American singers always works.
Yeah, that's why do you think that is?
I don't know. I'm working on an album now. We're doing the last day tonight with Tim Scott McConnell. If you heard about him, I would recommend all the listeners to check out Leadfoot. His counter name, is Leadfoot.
Right.
So, and I did an album with him last year, Leadfoot and Le Tekro. Now I'm doing the follow-up, and he's an American singer-songwriter. He wrote High Hopes, the first single on Springsteen's last album, I think.
Okay. Yeah, and I've heard some of that Le Tekro, Leadfoot stuff, and it's a lot different than anything else.
It is. Very
atmospheric, just really beautiful harmonies and things like that. You like exploring all those different sounds. That's very important for you?
Very important. Like when Tim he moved to Norway 20 years ago, he played in the Javelinas, Rockettes. He had a great career in the States. Then he did maybe the mistake of marrying a Norwegian woman that he later got divorced from, right? But he ended up in Scandinavia, and he's such a skilled singer-songwriter, and it's really interesting to work with him. And of course, I'm never going to get rid of my accent, but just talking American every morning with a guy for 10 years, it's been fantastic. Right?
Yeah. That's awesome. I listened to the TNT catalog, going back to that and 40 years of TNT. I listen to anything in the catalog and it sounds great to me. It sounds timeless. Is there anything that you find hard to listen to in the catalog? Like the very beginnings or the middle portion? Is there anything that?
There is one album I don't like, and that's Realized Fantasies.
Okay. Is there a reason?
I don't like the sound of it.
Just don't like the sound of it. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah.
The composition might, and I know a lot of fans, but you ask me personally what I don't listen to.
Yeah.
I don't think that's good. I think some of the albums we did, even with Tony Mills, Atlantis, for instance, with Tony Mills, the British singer, I thought that was fucking almost Queen like.
Yeah.
And
Tony
so
was,
it's Tony Mills was a sweetheart.
Yeah, he was great. We miss Tony Mills for sure. Yeah. Tell me, if you could sit down with any living person, have a glass of wine, have conversation, who would that be?
I think maybe tonight with you.
Nah, that's great.
Yeah,
Hugs for you, Ronnie.
I would do that. I would do that tonight because but if you ask me if it was a kind of rock star person, it would. But unfortunately, this guy doesn't drink anymore, and that's Joe Walsh. He's dried up, right?
Yeah.
But in the old days, if I could sit down, that would be the
Joe
Walsh. Nowadays in America, other than Tony, I learned to love him again. Do you know what I mean? But
right.
The thing I would think Sebastian Bach. He's my man.
All right.
From like we were just on the same frequency. Yeah, follow the instincts.
Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely,
brother.
Absolutely. Ronnie, love you, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.